Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to another episode of my F1 23 My Team Career Mode. This is episode number 77 today for the Imola GP. If you guys did miss the previous one at Bahrain, then be sure to go check the one out before you see this one. Although I say Bahrain Grand Prix, we were calling it the Marble Grand Prix, as we went through so many issues with the car, in quali especially, but in the race as well, with marbles, especially tricky at Bahrain, I find, on this game, and I haven't really talked too much about it until that last episode because it seemed to be making the car so unstable. But even the car itself just felt a little bit off. It almost felt like I was driving a car on F1 22 in some regards, and unfortunately we got screwed over with the worst timed red flag ever. So it was basically a catching up game, and a game that we physically just were never going to be able to actually catch up to by the end of it. So we just limited the damage, did the best we could, but in the end didn't come away with too many points. But to be fair, it was a tricky race for quite a few people out there. Both Mercedes cars obviously kicking themselves because they were in the points, and then they had to make a last minute second last lap pit stop as they defaulted onto the extra pit stop because the tyre wear was pretty high, which makes it all the more impressive for the drivers that managed to stay out, especially on the medium tyres, to be honest, because Leclerc, even though he'll be disappointed with getting second place and losing to his teammate Yuki Tsunoda, as Aston Martin brought home that 1-2, and both of them keeping chase on Teo Pourchaire, who still leads the way in the championship. Leclerc did very well to secure that second on very worn mediums. For us then, in the end, just bad luck, damage limitation, and we now have to reset and go again as we now go into the European portion of this season. And as we enter Europe, we're met with some lovely rain. What a welcome to the European side of the calendar. It is torrential here around Imola. It's heavy rain, so we've got the full wet tyres on, which makes things very tricky indeed, especially a circuit like this where it's on a knife edge. The grass and the gravel is so close to you, and it's a very quick circuit really, and a bit quick for wet conditions when you're trying to compromise on just enough downforce to make it through, but you don't want too much downforce because there's so many straights here at Imola and uphill sections where you need that straight line speed. So it was a pretty messy first flying lap. You saw in the second one we gained 21 seconds as we finally got a clean lap in. Starting the third lap though, and we're met with traffic, and Pierre Gasly blocks us and forces us to go across the gravel, across the grass. Then we have our own little half spin and take Gasly then across into the gravel for kind of good measure. But on board Gasly, just absolutely unaware where we are, without a care in the world of getting off the racing line, is a car that just came out the pits versus myself on a flyer there. I mean, what is he doing on that apex? And then there, doesn't give up the space. We have to cut across, and then we just lost the back end because we had gravel on our tyres, of course. And ironically, we then took Gasly into the gravel himself, basically, because he was then trying to take the racing line. Just a shocker stuff. Lack of awareness from Pierre Gasly. And of course, it's him, our ex-teammate turned rival, and things are still as sour as ever, it would then seem, with Gasly, as, he definitely could have got out of the way, and he should have, but he didn't. So now, once again, our first flying lap of the two I had planned to do on this run has not started well. Pretty much mirroring the first set of runs we did, basically. So now, onto a fourth flying lap. Thankfully, that last sector, purple, looking good in the last sector for the fourth flying lap. We do gain a lot of time there, from 2/10 up to nearly 8/10 through the final corner now, down to 6 as we lose a little bit of time understeering, as I'm still getting to grips with the circuit, I'm not going to lie, in full wet conditions. And in the end of it, maybe not that great versus Pourchaire, but P11 gets us through the session, and it's better than some, i.e. Felipe Drugovich in the Alfa Romeo Haas race winner this season. Drugovich is knocked out, and his more junior teammate Fittipaldi is up there in the top 5, showing the Haas clearly has some pace, and that's going to be quite upsetting for Drugovich. And also Mick Schumacher there in the Ferrari also was knocked out in Q1. Thankfully, we've made it through despite Gasly trying his best efforts to thwart us. But now into the second part of quali where we're trying to break into the top 10 shootout. The first flying lap was a bit of a banker, as you can see, only P11. It's actually going to be P14 by the time we get to the last sector and the checkered flag's fallen. Myself and Pourchaire in the drop zone, 14-15. So we definitely need this lap. I don't know if Pourchaire is on a lap himself. He's got to hope for himself he is on one. But for me, trying to wrestle the car through 1 second up, 1.2 through the exit. It's been a much better second flyer, getting a bit of confidence, and we catapult ourselves up to P1. What a turnaround. P14 to P1 in Q2. I definitely think the track got a little bit quicker at the end. Maybe just a little bit less standing water potentially on the circuit, but Pourchaire, I said he for himself, he better be on another run. He wasn't. He was overconfident. He's done a mistake that I sometimes make, and maybe that's the inexperience there of his only, third full year in Formula 1 coming into play. Pourchaire knocked out in Q2, the championship leader, and others as well. Big names, Verstappen, Liam Lawson, and Enzo Fittipaldi, all knocked out in the Ferrari, Red Bull Ford, and the Haas, respectively. So we are now into the top 10 shootout. Russell going quickest of all. Both Mercedes cars are in the top 10 here, I think, so they're both looking very good again. So a bit of a yo-yo for Mercedes in the last 3 episodes, going from great in China to horrendous at Bahrain to great again here in Imola. For us, we put a time on the board for P5 only at the moment, but like the other sessions, the first lap kind of a bit more of a banker, and now we're gaining the confidence on the second flyer. But Tsunoda goes quickest of all, provisional pole for the Japanese driver, the race winner from last episode. Is that momentum for him going from Sakir? No, Leclerc, his own teammate, knocks him off. So right now, it potentially is a 1-2 for Aston Martin, but we're going well. We've gone purple in the second sector, few more tenths gained in the last sector, to the line. What is it going to be? It felt like a pretty quick lap, and it is a quick lap. It's going to be pole position for the first time this season around Imola. On our return to this circuit in this series, we have got pole position. Of course, it's even sweeter if you remember, of course, who we're driving for. We are driving for AAR Lamborghini. The Italian brand is on top here, and it's not Ferrari, it's Lamborghini on top. There's not even a Ferrari in the top 10 here in the first of 2 Italian Grand Prix we've got this season. That is huge, of course, especially with our car now donning Italian stripes and the rear wing as well. Makes it even sweeter, to be honest. But yeah, very quick stuff from Leclerc, to be honest. Only 8/800ths of a second slower than us. It was actually really supremely close. Very, very cool stuff. Russell does great in P4. Bottas as well. I mean, clearly Mercedes again looking a bit better here than they were at Bahrain, and it's a bit more of a similar kind of pace maybe they were showing in the Chinese Grand Prix. Gasly P5 splits the 2 Mercs. Piastri's done very well actually, just to kind of quietly get the McLaren up there in P7, and also Ocon in the Alpine to out-qualify the Red Bull Ford and Carlos Sainz in the other Audi. So that's the top 10. It's a wet and wild Saturday, but I think it's going to be all dry for tomorrow's full Grand Prix. Let's go to the race.
Welcome to Imola, the spiritual home of Ferrari. But you don't need me to tell you that. Just look at the red-clad Tifosi in the grandstands. They're ready. Are you ready? For the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. 3.1 miles of track at Imola, featuring 19 turns, 9 to the right and 10 to the left. Remember that Imola differs from most other Formula 1 tracks as it's taken anti-clockwise. Let's hope nobody forgets that today. The exit from turn 18 will probably be the setup for many of today's overtakes, leading as it does into the longest straight on the circuit, and it's only DRS zone. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. It's the owner-driver then in pole position, and it's Charles Leclerc in P2. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Russell, Gasly, Bottas, Oscar Piastri, Ocon, Norris, Sainz, Verstappen, Liam Lawson, Fittipaldi, Tsunoda, Albon, Théo Pourchaire, Ricciardo, Drugovich, Mick Schumacher, Joe, Perez, Magnussen and Logan Sargent. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today. Anthony Davidson is alongside me, as usual, for today's race. We should talk about Williams. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
Well, the atmosphere within that team seems very positive at the moment. Everyone seems like they're in great spirits and having a lot of fun doing what they do, and that's definitely contributed to the performances we've seen.
Right, well, it's been a hot minute since we've been on pole position in this series. Almost forget how it feels to be getting off the line in the formation lap with no one ahead of us. We are leading the pace and, judging what kind of speed we should go to prepare ourselves for this grid. And Imola is a bit of an awkward grid. P1 is facing pretty much the edge of the circuit, so I'm going to line up very aggressively facing right to kind of make it a straight line to where I want the car to eventually be. It's going to, from the outside perspective, look like a very aggressive move to block off Leclerc, and I guess it will be as well, because we know how quick the Aston Martin is in acceleration terms. In terms of the strategy today, a lot of us on softs, because we didn't use them in qualifying, and it might be a one-stop soft onto the hard compound, but there may be some rain forecast for the end of the race, so plenty of potential for chaos late on in this race. But it's lights out and away we go for the first of two Italian Grand Prix this season. Leclerc tries to cut across to maybe apply pressure, but we've soaked it up. Battery usage to remain in first place, but Russell goes all the way around the outside. He's even going to try and overtake first place. Russell makes contact with us, but he's up into second place. The Mercedes has jumped the Aston, and look how quick the Merc is. He's dived it down the inside. We have to give him the room, and unfortunately with heavy fuel we understeer into that section, the left to the right, and Russell's actually got the better of us, and he's into first place. The Mercedes leads this Imola GP as we give Leclerc the squeeze to remain in second place. I was concerned about the Aston Martin Honda. I should have been concerned about the pace of the Mercedes in a straight line. Clearly upgrades must be in the engine or chassis weight department, whatever the case is. George Russell flying at the moment. He's already broken 1 second in first place, and we're down to second. I thought, pole position, this could be maybe a great chance for us to win, and now all of a sudden, maybe, is Russell going to ruin the party so early on in this race? No, it's early days. We've got 31 laps. Let's not start talking like that. We've got a long way to go. Let's see what the pace is like as we kind of get into a rhythm, into a groove. But at the moment, the championship leader, our teammate Teo Porcher, down in P13. Plenty of overtakes to make for the championship leader if he wants to try and score points today. Sonoda as well, who was out of the top 10, has climbed up to P10 as it's an early pit stop for Valtteri Bottas. So whilst Russell leads the way, Bottas makes a lap 1 pit stop for last place, and there's plenty of fighting going on in the bottom end of the top 10, and that's Ocon and Verstappen coming to blows as once again Leclerc applies the pressure up this hill, but we're just going to we'll really just not get flustered too much by Leclerc pulling out for the inside move. I think, Brundle said it before in real life commentary. There's no point defending thin air. There's no point moving across if you don't really think like you actually need to defend that position. Whereas in comparison, lap 4, I definitely do need to defend this. And in fact, it's turning from defence to attack as we have to re-overtake Leclerc. Slight bit of rubbing on the right-hand side there, tyre wall to tyre wall, but we re-overtake Leclerc, just edged him out a little bit towards the sausage curbs, and he had to back out of that, so we remain in second place. But all this fighting and defending against Leclerc in the opening 4 laps has meant that George Russell in the Mercedes is 4.2 seconds, 4.3 seconds ahead. Leclerc goes for another little attack up this hill. That Aston is so quick off that line. I just don't have that traction on him. I don't know if it's like an AI thing, because we don't know how it is versus other cars. But right now, Leclerc, the nearest man to me, he is just always quicker off that hairpin style left-hander. Ironically, though, because he got so close to us on that last attack, we actually squeezed him out so much that he's lost DRS now, and he's now within DRS of Gasly behind, and the Frenchman is vying to get his Audi round the outside. It's a fantastic move for the Audi to get up into third place. And that gives me breathing room of 2.7 to be exact. Leclerc comes back at Gasly. Can he get the re-overtake done? No. But the Audi and Aston losing time to me by fighting each other, so much so that now Tsunoda and Piastri have closed up, along with Lando Norris in the middle as well with the Red Bull Ford. But that's actually a fantastic opening 7 laps then for Tsunoda. He's gone from P11, or P13, sorry, to P7. Pourchaire, he's still stuck down in P12. He's still outside the top 10, whereas Tsunoda is going to make a brilliant move on the inside. Unbelievable timing from the camera work there, by the way, to cut on just as Tsunoda slung it down the inside of Piastri. He's going to finish off the move at the chicane, and Yuki Tsunoda is flying high in P6. He's made, what's that, like 7 overtakes today to get up into P6 in only 7 laps, whilst the championship leader, our teammate, the man who I was so scared of at the start of the season, some cracks are starting to form, you know. He's just not been as hot in the last few, you know. I know he just got a podium, but right now he's not looking too great. He's stuck outside the top 10, whereas Leclerc and Gasly swap again, you can see. So those two are just going to be swapping, basically, because Imola, the DRS is so powerful on this straight. Basically, the top left, I've just been looking at it the entire time. Leclerc and Gasly just hopping positions. And I've been looking at the top left as well, because I'm trying to bring down that 4.3 second gap. It's proving difficult. We're quicker in Sector 1. Sector 2, Russell's definitely quicker. All the AI have been quicker than me in Sector 2. And then Sector 3, we can bring it back a little bit. It's just that mid-corner speed I'm lacking a little bit at this circuit. Potentially maybe just a bit too much downforce, because I did set the car up, you know, with the heavy rain from qualifying in mind, because I also saw there was forecast for rain in the race. But right now it looks bone dry as we watch Tsunoda on lap 12 make further progress up this grid. This is turning into a drive of the day for Yuki Tsunoda, from P13 up to P5 then, and he's only a second off his teammate now. This is brilliant stuff for Tsunoda, and just puts Pourchaire's drive to shame even more so, because he's still in P12. Leclerc makes a mistake on lap 13. The next lap, the very next lap, Leclerc makes a mistake, and all of a sudden Tsunoda is in a top 4. Leclerc down to P6 behind Lando Norris's Red Bull Ford. It's a howler for Leclerc. Potentially he's going to have to think about an early stop, maybe to try and undercut and try and get himself back into this race, as we see the bottom of the top 10, Piastri, Lawson, and then Ocon and Pourchaire and Drugovich, to be fair, knocking on the door. Both Drugovich and Pourchaire, what a difference a couple of races makes. You know, Pourchaire and Drugovich, the top 2 in Abu Dhabi, round 3, now they're both struggling outside the top 10, and their teammates, myself and Fittipaldi, in the points. Fittipaldi, by the way, just quietly in no man's land in P7, having a great little race, the Brazilian, the more junior of the two, to Drugovich, and Russell continues to lead, and we brought the gap down, you know, to 2.2 seconds, and we're coming into the pits now, because I reckon we can get a good undercut going. I'm going to go on to hards. I assume the AI are going to do that as well, but, you know, they might actually go on to mediums. You know, maxed out cars, the tyre wear might be there to do mediums, but I just fancy, obviously, the hard tyre way more than the mediums. It didn't work out for us too much at Bahrain, to be fair, the hard tyre, but here at Imola, let's hope. But we did bring the gap down, so I was struggling at first, but as we went on through that stint, I think, you know, getting towards the end of this stint, the tyre wear clearly was affecting Russell a bit more than me, and we're able to close 2 seconds at least. We still have 2 seconds to bridge, and I'm hoping we can maybe bridge one of those seconds in this undercut, basically. But first, we need to get past, well, one of our old teammates from Season 2. Seems like so long ago now. Daniel Ricciardo getting down the inside, and we've got plenty of grip versus his old soft tyres, and then the two Williams, Joe Guan Yu and Kevin Magnussen. Once we get past these two, then we've got a lot of clean air to work with, so it's absolutely crucial that we get past these guys ASAP, and we're going to sling it through on the outside of Joe Guan Yu, take no prisoners as we try and dart to the apex, and there wasn't even a thought in my mind that Joe Guan Yu's nose could have been on the inside, and the same here with Kevin Magnussen. We just dart to the apex, and it's pretty much going, look, you either give me this position or you're going to spin me round, as we're desperate to close and kind of find some time on Russell. Unfortunately, on lap 15, Russell comes out ahead of us still. We have gained about a second, but I was hoping for a little bit more. But as you can probably see up the road, there is a car directly ahead of Russell, and the gap has already come down by 0.4 now 5 to 6 tenths, and all of a sudden Russell is within 1 second of us, and it's thanks to Carlos Sainz, the Audi, the slower of the two Audis today, struggling for pace here on his worn mediums that he's been on since the start of the Grand Prix, I might say. So he's yet to stop Carlos Sainz. Russell on fresh mediums, so he's gone for the quicker compound of the two, but he's been held up so much that we are already now on the back of him as we get to the chicane. Carlos Sainz has absolutely done a number for us here. Thank you very much, but right now it's going to get awkward. Russell, I think, senses that he needs to get past Sainz. He's overtaken him, and now awkwardly I need to make a bit of a switch from right to left, undercut the line that Carlos Sainz had to get up into P9, and even that little manoeuvre Russell made there in Sector 3 just gave him a few tenths of breathing room. So the gap's now from 5 tenths to 7 tenths. But up the road, Albon has just been squeezed out by Mick Schumacher. And like Sainz, he's struggling on worn mediums he's been on since the start of the Grand Prix. And once again, we've got another car helping me out. Everyone seems to want me to close up to Russell. Albono doing a number, even better than Sainz really, because he's defended him, he's pushed him off onto the curbs. Russell goes for the move to the inside. Albon, though, is defending that. They're still side by side, and here we come through on the right-hand side. One move, 2 cars, and we're up into 3rd place, but it will be a net P1 once Fittipaldi and Schumacher make their pit stops. That was just perfection for us. That was perfect. Russell on the inside, Albon in the middle, and there we go. Lovely little swipe across into the inside line, and we get the 2-for-1 pass, and we're up into P1 now. 2 laps later, on to lap 18. We still lead. Russell within half a second of us, though, so the pressure is there. So now it's our turn to try and soak up the pressure in P1 and control the race from here. As behind, we see plenty of fighting going on. The 2 Aston Martins, they were behind the Red Bull of Lando Norris, but they both overtake Norris in one straight. So even though Red Bull may have got the pit stop window better than Aston Martin, the 2 Astons, they look like they want blood. And you know what? Tsunoda there, he's actually been jumped by Leclerc in the pit stops. You know, remember Leclerc made that mistake and lost those positions. He's actually re-jumped Tsunoda in the pits, but Tsunoda was so close to Leclerc there. I really feel like Tsunoda will be making a move on his own teammate soon enough. And meanwhile, down the order, poor Chair, thankfully for his sake and the team's sake, I guess, has jumped up into the points now, into P8. So, and Fittipaldi's down to P10 from P7. So clearly a lot of action actually went on in the pit stop window, where I assume people got held in the pits, or they just got an undercut or an overcut, or even, you know, in the case of Russell, got, you know, maybe just hit with traffic. So maybe others also face traffic of their own. Very, very interesting stuff here. But it means then Russell is chasing after me rather than looking behind me, controlling a gap for P1. He's looking to take P1 back. He's gaining. He's got DRS at this point, of course, remember as well. We don't go too defensive, but we are just going to cut across, take the racing line. And like I said earlier, there's no point defending thin air. I just didn't feel threatened by Russell then, and it worked out for us. We were better off not moving to the inside there as we now go on board with Yuki Tsunoda. He's just watched Leclerc overtake Gasly, and now he's... What a move for the Japanese driver! Unbelievable! Tsunoda up into P3. He's just overtaken Gasly and thought, yeah, go on, I'll overtake Leclerc as well at the same time in the same brake zone. Go on, what a little Japanese rocket ship Tsunoda has been today. P13 up to P3 now. And by lap 23, he has actually dropped his teammate in Gasly. He's now in his own little kind of pocket of air, and he's got maybe the chance to chase after myself and Russell, because we're still locked in to this battle. I can't break DRS. I'm trying my hardest, and we're just about getting over 1 second now. But this is Sector 1. As soon as Sector 2 comes, Russell's quicker. He brings it back under a second, so there's just no getting away from Russell. 3 laps later, lap 26, Russell's still within half a second, but now Tsunoda is half a second off him. So Tsunoda is having the race of his life. All of a sudden, he's now maybe going to be me in the P1 fight, and I'm going to be a little bit nervous because we know how quick the Aston is, and clearly today in the hands of Tsunoda, he is absolutely a man on a mission. But Russell, first and foremost, is looking to overtake us. We squeeze him to the wall, but Russell does not blink. He keeps his foot on the throttle pedal, and he's overtaken us. I have no way to make a dive bomb back on him into that next left-hander, and we just have to sit behind him. And now I'm looking behind me at Tsunoda, and immediately I feel the pressure and I crumble. I absolutely bottle it here through that right-hander. My concentration just went as soon as Russell overtook me, and we lost a little bit of motivation, so we need to try and refine that. But at the moment, all the momentum is with Tsunoda, as he is now going for first place. This is incredible, but this is good for us, because he's now just slowed up himself and Russell to the point where we've caught back to them 2 laps later. This is on lap 28, so lap 27, it could have gone either way. I could have maybe lost touch with P1, but because of that fighting from the 2 leaders, I'm still in that fight, but we're in 3rd place. We're at the back of the queue, so we've got all the work to do to make 2 overtakes today. Meanwhile, Pourchaire still in the points, but a long way off from where we are here now, as we now sense this is the time to make the move on Russell. It's now or never. Russell, my God, Russell makes contact. He really did not want to give up that position. Thankfully for his sake and mine, it wasn't a spin or any kind of damage to either one of our cars, but that was the time to overtake Russell, because now we're still within a second of Tsunoda, and I could just feel like Russell's falling away in terms of pace. Lap 30, so we're going on to the 2 last laps of the Grand Prix. Russell is just edging out of DRS now, very much so. 1.1 the gap is to our fellow compatriot, so we needed to make that overtake then, otherwise he would have slowed us up and the win would have been out the question. So here we are then, racing a man who started outside the top 10. He's earned his right to be fighting for the race win, but we are still here and we're going for the lead ourselves. On to lap 31. DRS and ERS in tandem flew past him, but we've got 1 lap left and we are now the ones being chased down. So Tsunoda is going to be the one with DRS at some point, and we know how quick the Aston is. And Pourchaire, well, for how well he was doing of being back in the points, he's just been overtaken by Fittipaldi of all people. I'm telling you, this race is showing maybe a bit of inexperience. Despite him winning the first 2 races of the season, and I thought we created a monster, this race shows he's not bulletproof. There's a chink in the armour there, but let's just focus back on ourselves first and foremost as we go on to the last lap of the Grand Prix, as we chase the elusive first win of this season. Tsunoda is going to fly by. That Aston's so quick with DRS, but we're not giving up. We're still deploying battery, and we get to the inside. Tsunoda gives us a little bit of room, little bit of contact made, and Tsunoda goes across the sleeping policeman. That was very similar to Hamilton v Verstappen in 2021 almost, as we just got the elbow out a little bit. Tsunoda left the door open on the inside, and we were near enough to make that dive. And, well, we've got back into P1, but there's still opportunities for Tsunoda to maybe overtake, and it's up the hill. It's that same place where the Aston's been so quick all race long. Leclerc tried it a couple of times early on in the race. Tsunoda's tried it now, but we're just hanging on for dear life. We're defending so harshly that now we've got a 5-car train involved. As Tsunoda dives down the inside, we've locked up. We've gone deep into the chicane. He's still there, looking in the mirrors, looking at the proximity arrows, but we've done enough, I think. Tsunoda will have to settle for second. Russell defends Leclerc for 3rd place for Mercedes, but we have done enough. We have just about survived the onslaught from Yuki Tsunoda. Take a bow, Yuki. What a drive today, but we take our first win of the season. Oh, and we earned it. We earned it. My God, Tsunoda, he was a very fierce competitor. Very fierce. But we've gained a load of points. We're still so far off Pourchaire in the championship. But this could be the kickstart for everything. It's the race win at the Italian Grand Prix for this Italian team, Lamborghini.
And that's it then for the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. And what a sensational victory they've managed to pull off here. Tell me, Ant, how do they manage to achieve this win?
I think a large part of the result comes down to temperament. They were able to keep their heads when everyone around them was losing theirs. and that's allowed them to get the best out of the car, to maximise the strategy, and to stay out of trouble.
It was a heck of an Imola GP, and we've taken victory. Our first one of the season, but my God, what a drive from Yuki Tsunoda. Mercedes, again, doing well to at least get one car on the podium, you know, like they did in China. So there are glimpses of maybe Merc getting up there, but one thing's clear, Aston are quick, and Pourchaire, winning the 2 races at the start of the season, has done a number. He still leads the way comfortably. There's work to do. But guys, if you have enjoyed this one, hit the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.